to Savor the Flavors. My name is Brittany Allyn, and today I'm in Washingtonville, New York. Now, if you've seen the show before, you know that I love pairing wines with my recipes, and I always take advantage of every opportunity I can get to increase my knowledge about wine. When I'm traveling, I enjoy wine tasting as part of my sightseeing experience. Now, one thing I've learned is that there's wineries everywhere, but in this country, chances are it all started right here. I'm at America's oldest winery. It's called Brotherhood, and it just so happens they have a restaurant here too. So join me as I savor the flavors of the Vinum Cafe. The restaurant at Brotherhood Winery is called Vinum Cafe, and it's actually located in the original winery building circa 1839. It's beautiful inside, but they have this lovely patio, and it is a gorgeous day in New York, so I wanted to dine outside. Now, the menu has a definite French influence. It could be because the original owners were immigrants from France. Now, I think I'm going to start with the foie gras. Foie gras is basically the liver of a duck or goose that's been specifically fattened, usually corn-fed, and it makes the meat very rich. Here it's plated with some mango and some strawberries, some baby greens, and the mango and strawberries have been candied, or they've put sugar on top and then bruleed it. It is such a gorgeous presentation. Let's get into this. And it's served on top of a toast or baguette. Now cut on it here. It's my wonderful foie gras. Oh my gosh. It is like pure butter. It is so tender, so flavorful. Oh, wonderful. Now, some of that mango. Get some fruit with it. I love that sugar on top. Makes it extra sweet. Oh my gosh. What an appetizer. The foie gras is kind of salty. The sweetness with the mango. Beautiful, beautiful dish. You will not want to miss this. For my entree, I ordered the vol au vent. Vol au vent in French means windblown, and I think they're referring to the flaky, delicate aspect of the puff pastry that it's served in. It comes with grilled chicken and some cremini mushrooms, a medley of peas, and also tomatoes there. And it's got a Madeira sauce on top. Madeira is a fortified wine. Let's dig in. It's so pretty, you kind of don't want to get into it. I know, I'm just going to start with one of these mushrooms. Madeira is a little sweet, lovely, and it's got the grilled chicken in there. Nice and tender. Let's get some of that flaky pastry. It looks like a lot, but puff pastry is so light and airy, so it's not very filling. Get a little of that. What a lovely, lovely dish. You know, I was talking about Madeira. The early settlers liked Madeira. Thomas Jefferson, George Washington. In fact, the Declaration of Independence was toasted with Madeira. So if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. I spent a wonderful afternoon in New York State. It started with an excellent wine tasting experience at the Brotherhood Winery and was followed by an equally enjoyable lunch at the Vinum Cafe. The word vinum is Latin for wine, and what I enjoyed most about the Vinum Cafe is that they used a lot of different wines in the preparations of the various menu items. And today, I thought it would be fun to explore some of those wines and to share with you some of my recipes that incorporate them. On the menu, we have chicken with a mushroom Madeira sauce over sage and garlic infused with potatoes, with a side of oven-roasted Italian green beans and tomatoes. And for dessert, we have a strawberry cream Napoleon drizzled with a sweet Sauterne reduction. Today we're going to begin by making our whipped potatoes. On the stove I have a pot with 2 pounds of russet potatoes. I have just enough water to cover them. To that we're going to add some salt. Just salt that liberally. And we're going to get these going. We're going to bring them to a boil. When they come to a boil, we'll reduce the heat and let them simmer for 8 to 10 minutes. Now I did mention that these potatoes were infused. And to do that, I've got 2 cloves of garlic here. I peeled them earlier, and we're just going to lightly smash them with a knife like this. And we're going to put that into 2/3 cup milk that I have here. And I have 6 fresh sage leaves. We'll just drop those in, and we'll put this on the stove. And we want it at the lowest possible heat. We just want it to sort of steep and infuse the milk with those flavors, and of course, later on, our potatoes. Now, today's show is very much about wine. We're going to feature several wines and actually cook with 2 of them. The first one is a Sauterne. The first time I had Sauterne was at the Vinum Cafe. They had used it and made a reduction that they put on the top of my mango on the foie gras appetizer, and it was delicious. And so I knew I had to learn more about it. Now, Sauterne is a sweet white dessert wine. When you buy a bottle of Sauterne, you want to have a plan for it because the shelf life is really 1 to 2 days. So we got into this last night. Didn't mean to start the party without you, but it's really delicious, of course, just by itself. And I knew today we were going to use it in this recipe. We're going to make a reduction to go on the top of our Napoleons. We'll just sort of drizzle it on the top. And for that, we're going to use a 1/4 cup of the Sauterne. And we'll just take that, and we're just going to put that in a little saucepan here. And along with that, we're going to add a 1/4 cup of just regular granulated sugar. And also here, I have some yuzu juice. Yuzu is a citrus fruit, and the flavor is somewhere between grapefruit and mandarin orange, and I've really grown to love it. And for this, I need 1½ tablespoons of the yuzu juice. And I just love the flavors of that with the Sauterne. It's this wonderful, sweet, sour kind of thing going on. It's so, so delicious. Or sweet tart, I guess is the word. Now we're going to put that on the stove. And we're going to heat it, and we're going to let it go about 10 minutes because we want it to reduce and also concentrate those flavors. Now for our Napoleons, we need a cream filling. To make that, I've got 4 ounces of mascarpone cheese. And to that, I'm going to add 4 ounces of whipping cream. And I whipped this earlier. It's just plain heavy whipping cream. We are going to sweeten it with a tablespoon of powdered sugar. And we're also going to flavor this with a 1/2 teaspoon of almond extract. I love this flavor in this cream. Now, if you had somebody who had a nut allergy, you could substitute some vanilla instead of that, and it'll work wonderfully too. I'm going to take a little break, and when we come back, we're going to get started on our main course. Don't go away. Welcome back. While we were at commercial, I whipped our potatoes. I strained our milk and then slowly added it as I whipped the potatoes, seasoned them with salt and pepper, and they're in the microwave waiting to be reheated when it's time to serve them. Now, our Sauterne reduction is almost finished. I actually like to sort of thicken it a little bit because I like it to be almost syrup-like. And to do that, we're going to use some arrowroot. And we'll just add that right to it. Arrowroot is a wonderful thickener. It can be used in place of cornstarch. And that's looking great. We're just going to turn this off and let it cool until we're ready to serve it. Now for Napoleons, you need puff pastry. And here I have 1 sheet of puff pastry. We need just 1 sheet for this. And I've thawed it. And we're just going to open it up, sort of unfold it. And you can see that it sort of has 3 sections to it. What we're going to do is just cut along these lines here, like this. And we're going to just put that one aside. And then we want, these are about 9 inches long, and we want about 3-inch squares. So just kind of eyeball it. And what we're going to do is just cut these into squares like this. And you want to keep them all about the same size because we're going to stack them. Now we'll just remove them and put them on this parchment lined baking sheet I have here. I have my oven preheated to 400 degrees and we'll bake these for about 15 minutes. Now here I have some baker's decorating real coarse crystal sugar. And I just like to sprinkle that on the top of the puff pastry because I love that wonderful, just sweet crunch that adds to the top of our desserts. All right, we're gonna pop those in the oven. They're looking good. And here I have a skillet on the stove, and I'm going to heat that to medium high. And I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of olive oil. And over here I have some chicken. And here I have chicken cutlets, actually. Let's move this aside. And for this I need 4 chicken cutlets. And what we're gonna do is just lightly season them with salt and pepper. We'll saute these for about 2 to 3 minutes aside, depending on the thickness of your chicken cutlets. Now I'm going to continue to saute our chicken. When it's finished, I'm going to remove it to a plate and then just tent it with some tin foil so it can be resting while we work on our mushroom Madeira sauce. So I'm going to take a little break. Don't go away because we'll be right back to work on our Vinum inspired menu. Welcome back. I was just taking our puff pastry out of the oven and it looks fabulous, so nice and golden brown. We're just going to let those cool until we're ready to use them. And here I reduced the heat on my skillet to about medium and added a little bit more olive oil. To that we're going to add 1 shallot that's been finely minced. And this will get our mushroom Madeira sauce started. Okay, now for our mushrooms, we have about 8 ounces here. I know it looks like a lot, but mushrooms are really cooked down and you want them sliced. And we'll just add those to our pan. Now to this, I'm also going to add a teaspoon of fresh sage that I minced earlier. And we're just going to saute all of that together. We're just going to let those saute until they release their juices and get nice and tender. Now it's time to work on our oven roasted Italian green beans and tomatoes. Here I have 8 to 10 ounces of fresh green beans. You want to use fresh green beans for this. And I'm just going to sort of cut them into pieces on the diagonal, kind of a 45-degree angle. That's called cutting them on the bias. And I like to do that because I think they just look prettier on the plate that way. Now I mentioned earlier that I enjoyed a wine tasting at the Brotherhood Winery. And I also learned about the White House wine list. It was during the Clinton administration. It was his idea that wineries in each state should submit wines to be considered for the White House wine list. And 1 wine from each state would be featured on the White House wine list. And the wine that was chosen for New York State was from Brotherhood Winery, and it was their Riesling. Okay, that does it for our green beans. I'm just going to take them and put them on this sheet pan. We're going to roast them in the oven at 425 degrees. Now to season them, we are going to use some olive oil. I've got 2 teaspoons there. And here I have a ½ teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Italian seasoning is a wonderful dried herb blend. It's got oregano and marjoram, thyme, basil, all kinds of great things in there. And so we'll just sort of infuse that oil. And we'll add a ¼ teaspoon of salt to that as well. Just get that mixed up. Now, let's check our mushrooms real quick here. See how they're doing. Oh yeah, they are looking absolutely perfect. Nice and cooked down. Looks like a lot less now, right? And now it's time to add our Madeira. Now, I had Madeira in the vol au vent that I had my main course at Vinum Cafe. For this, we need about a ½ cup. And Madeira can be anywhere from sweet to dry. And I like to use this medium dry for cooking. Here I have the Broadbent rainwater. Now we're just going to add this and sort of deglaze our pan and just allow that to reduce. Now I'm just gonna let that simmer and cook down. When we come back, we are going to put the finishing touches on our Vinum inspired menu. Don't go away. Welcome back. If you just joined us, we are working on a Vinum inspired meal. That means wines. We're featuring lots of wines. While we were at commercial, I added about 1.5 cups of chicken stock to our pan, and I also put our green beans in the oven. They're roasting nicely. Now what I like to do is to thicken my sauce a little bit. To do that, I'm going to use what is referred to as a beurre meunier, and it's equal parts of butter and flour, and you just put that in the liquid and just whisk it in, and it helps to thicken the sauce very nicely. We're just going to let this go and let it come up to heat, simmer a little bit, and it will thicken nicely. And we're going to add a little salt and pepper to this as well to season it. We'll give that a little stir, and then we're going to add our chicken back to the pan to reheat it. We'll just sort of slip our cutlets in there so nicely like this. There we go. Now we're just going to give that a few minutes, and it is time to add our tomatoes. I have some great tomatoes here that I just have, and it is time to add them to our roasting pan to roast with our green beans. Those are looking fabulous. They're getting all nice and blistered. Now what we're going to do is take a little break. They need just 2 to 3 minutes. Come back and I'm going to show you how to plate this and also how to assemble those Napoleons. Welcome back. It is time to plate our wonderful Vinum inspired meal. We're going to start by assembling our Napoleons. Earlier I cut our puff pastries in half, and that way we have our layers. Now to start to plate this, I've got some of this wonderful Sauterne reduction. It's a beautiful golden sauce, and I'm just going to put some of that on the bottom of the plate, and that will help keep our puff pastry stationary. And we'll just put 1 piece down like that, and then we're going to take some of our pastry cream that we made earlier, about 1 tablespoon, maybe 1.5 tablespoons, and we'll just put that on the top of our puff pastry. And then we're going to take some of our fresh strawberries, and I like to place the slices. I sliced these earlier, by the way, and I like to place the slices so the points of the strawberries are sort of pointing to the corners. I think that makes it so much prettier. And then we're just going to repeat the layers. And then we'll top it with one of the pieces of puff pastry that had that lovely sugar on top. Look at that, it is gorgeous. And then earlier I took a strawberry and just sort of cut it so that it would fan. Look at that. Okay, then we're going to take some more of that wonderful Sauterne reduction, and we're just going to drizzle it like this over the top of the dessert. And it is so delicious. How beautiful is that? And that is our dessert. I want to eat it right now, but we can't. We have to wait until we've had our dinner. I'm going to show you how to plate our main course. Now, we're going to start with some of those wonderful sage and garlic infused whipped potatoes. I reheated them in the microwave for a minute. We're just going to put a mound of those on the plate. And then we're going to take one of those wonderful pieces of chicken, a chicken cutlet, and we'll just lay it on there like this. Look how gorgeous that is. And then some of that wonderful mushroom Madeira sauce. And make sure and get some of that over the potatoes as well as the chicken, because this sauce, I'm telling you, it's like you could bathe in it. It is so delicious. Oh yeah, look at that. Just beautiful. And then I'm going to take a little bit of fresh parsley and just garnish it with that. Little color on the plate. And don't forget those oven roasted tomatoes and green beans. They look fabulous. Oops, and we'll just put them on the plate. Look at the beautiful color on that. Ah, just wonderful. And I like to finish my green beans and tomatoes with some freshly grated Parmesan cheese, just a touch. And there you have it, our wonderful Vinum-inspired meal. I'm gonna take a break. We'll come back right away and taste this. And I'm also gonna suggest yet another wine, the wine I chose to pair with today's meal. Don't go away. Welcome back. It is time to taste this wonderful Vinum-inspired meal. The wine I chose to go with today's menu is the McMurray Ranch Pinot Noir. It comes from the central coast of California. Now, I think it's time to taste. Look at that. So, so good. We're going to get into some of this chicken and some mushrooms on there, and maybe even some of those potatoes. The chicken is so nice and tender. Now, the mushroom. That is so good. You know what I like about cooking with mushrooms? Is they sort of act like little flavor sponges. They don't have a lot of flavor themselves, but they absorb all the other flavors in the dish and then tend to sort of concentrate them. And now, those oven roasted green beans and tomatoes. I'm telling you, when you roast vegetables, they taste more like themselves than any other preparation. It really concentrates the flavor. The green beans are nice and sweet. They still have a little bit of crunch to them. I love the Parmesan cheese on top, and they're wonderfully seasoned. And those tomatoes, they just pop in your mouth. So good. Oh my gosh. Now, wine. The nose on this wine is sort of plum. There's raspberry. I'm getting a little clove. It's very fruity. It is just delightful. I love it with this dish because it just complements everything so nicely. And now, dessert. We've got to taste our wonderful strawberry cream Napoleon. Look at that, it is so impressive. We'll just kind of cut into this. It'll sort of come apart when we do, but we just need a bite of everything. I've got some puff pastry, I've got the cream, I've got that scrumptious sauté and reduction. That's like my favorite dessert, and it doesn't even have chocolate in it. It is so good. I really want to finish it all right now, but I'd like to take this opportunity to invite you to visit my website, savortheflavors.tv. While you're there, you can print out the recipes from today's show or sign up for my complimentary newsletter. I'd love to share that with you. And I'd also like to invite you to visit Brotherhood Winery and the Vinum Cafe. But between now and then, I'd love for you to try my recipes. Either way, I hope you take time to savor the flavors.